How do you respond to complaints within the Jewish community regarding comments that you made about your rival's Jewish school and previous associations you had with Gab, the social network?
Yeah, so.
Well, I would like to make a comment on that real quick.
Thank you.
I'm just going to say, as a family, we so much love Israel. In fact, I'm going to say we probably love Israel more than a lot of Jews do. I have to say that.
I'm going to interrupt you there, Rebbe. I think maybe the best way to answer a question asking about your anti-Semitism, your connection to a very rabid anti-Semitic social media entity, is not to say that you love the Jews more than Jewish folks love the Jews. Maybe don't start there. But anyway, that's the wife of Doug Mastriano, who's running for governor out there in Pennsylvania. But also, she's just getting started. Maybe she has more of this answer that doesn't sound as white supremacy. We'll try. Let's let her keep talking.
The reason why I say that is because I've given, and Doug, we've given for, I would say, at least 10 years to outreach to Israel and Jerusalem. I have visited Israel, we say for 5 years. We're just an average family, we're not wealthy people. We say for 5 years to make a trip because it was that important for us to educate our son on loving other cultures and understanding different backgrounds.
Weird how that works. Didn't get much better since she said, we spent our money, we saved it up and went to Israel and we hung out in Israel. Can you believe it? It's amazing. Therefore, it's impossible. It's weird. I hung out in Beverly Hills before. I don't suddenly have a Beverly Hills house, no money like that. I'm just trying to figure out how this whole thing works. As long as you go there, then you're just relieved of all of things like this. This is what they're asking about. Mastriano has come under fire in the past month for comments he made concerning the Jewish day school that Shapiro, his opponent in this race, went to and sent his children to, saying that Shapiro grew up in a privileged neighborhood, attended one of the most privileged schools in the nation as a young man, not college as a kid, sending his 4 kids to the same privileged, exclusive elite school, $30,000 to $40,000 per pupil. So we talk about him having disdain for people like us. That's his reason for bringing up that school, and it's also words that got a few feathers ruffled around those circles, saying it's a private school, sure, but you're focusing on the fact that it was a Jewish school, so people are concerned with. So finally, Doug did get to the mic. Rebbe had all of her things to say, but Doug is gonna set the record straight. Doug answered the question next.
The allegations from the left, white supremacist, anti-Semitic, homophobe. One of the Democrats put together a list and the allegations of these 8 different phobes. Some phobes I didn't know exist. I'm like, are you serious? So I tend not to, it says in Proverbs from your holy book here, if King Solomon said, answer not a fool in his folly. And so I tend not to answer, stupid questions. But since you are from Israel, I'm not calling you a fool. My opponent, though, is trying to hide behind something that doesn't exist. So Josh Shapiro calls me anti-Semitic for simply pointing out that he can afford school choice. That's right. And that's not anti-Semitic. And so he's hiding behind a false allegation of a retired Army colonel vetted by the United States Army for 6 promotions. Only 3% of my class, made it to colonel.
Also, I was in the Army, so therefore it's impossible for me to have any biases or anti-Semitism or bigotry whatsoever. Okay, one more piece here, because it wasn't just the schooling thing. Maybe you want to believe him. Maybe it's strictly talking about the elitist nature of going to this very expensive school, and now he thinks that he can talk to us regular folks. Okay, sure. How about this part, Doug? Mastriano also has a close relationship with Andrew Torba. Andrew Torba, he's the CEO of Gab, a site that has become infamous as a haven for white supremacist and anti-Semitic extremism. Where's the explanation for this? Mastriano has had a formal relationship with Torba and Gab since at least April, when Mastriano's campaign paid Gab $5,000 for consulting services, according to state records first published by Media Matters for America, and we know what Media Matters is. Following this campaign's payment to Gab, Mastriano, who rarely speaks with reporters from traditional media outlets, sat down for an interview with Torba and lauded the site founder, telling him, thank God for what you've done. Sounds like a nice close connection. Paid him $5K. Thank God for what you've done, Andrew, over on this site. Most infamously, Gab played host to Robert Bowers, the man who perpetrated the deadly mass shooting at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. Prior to that attack, Bowers, who had posted numerous anti-Semitic screeds, announced on the platform that he was going in. Immediately after that incident, investors pulled funding from the site and the web host shut it down. But it went live again a few days later. And Mastriano later on in his life, or at least in his campaign, decided to give some cash and promote that same site. Jessica, maybe he's explained it all away. I just don't think there's much there for that one yet.
I think when you're asked about anti-Semitism and your response is, no, I love the state of Israel. Okay, Israel is a white supremacist apartheid state in some ways, right? The way that they push out the Palestinian people, the way that they're overwhelmingly shooting and killing people who are brown, who are throwing rocks at them. There are elements of white supremacy in Israel. There are reasons why evangelicals within the United States love the state of Israel and what it stands for, but will not say anything along the lines of any hatred directed towards an entire ethnic group or community is wrong. They love pointing out this idea that Jewish people are all elites. They clearly have never been to Borough Park or Williamsburg or Crown Heights and met working class Jewish people that will be hurt by this kind of anti-Semitic rhetoric. And you have people like Kanye West saying things like the capitalists who control the music industry are overwhelmingly Jewish, instead of just saying something along the lines of, it is bad that artists don't own the rights to their own music and the rights to produce their own music. You can say that without pushing this idea upon an entire ethnic group or community of people. And white supremacy is always about white supremacy. And that is why they won't say, it would be wrong to make these statements about Jewish people as a whole. And they will always lift up people like Kanye West, who uphold this dominant narrative that they have, which is, hey, look at this black man who has made it in America, therefore racism doesn't exist. And look, he's even making the same criticisms about other ethnic groups and communities that we are. They really love this, and it's really just disgusting what's going on here.
Cowards nothing more than someone else speaking their hate for them, so they don't have to take all the heat, because again, they're cowards. One small note here, Josh Shapiro, his opponent, was attorney general in Pennsylvania, and of course they're upset about anything he had to do as far as officiating and things of that nature in the state. That's part of their whole push towards him. So outside of everything, when it comes to the bigotry potential or the connections to all the bigotry, it's also definitely that part that has him pleased, and Donald Trump having his back.